May 21st meeting of the City of Tullahoma Regional Planning Commission. So we do have a quorum today, so I will call the meeting to order. Would ask everyone please rise while we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. What are you going to lead us today? You lead.
Me?
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yep. So the minutes from February, or from the last meeting, have already been sent out, and give everyone just another couple of minutes to review those to see if there's anything that we want to edit.
Mr. Chairman, in the special call meeting minutes, in the last sentence where it says the motion passed 6-1, that should be corrected to read 5-1 with Bill Comer opposed and myself abstaining as acting chairman at that time.
Okay. Any other changes?
And with those changes, I move to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. All right, so we'll move to reports from staff. Lee, do you have anything to report out? Nothing? Great. All right, from the meeting last month, we had 2 unfinished items of business, so we'll move right along into that. We had item A, which was the Flint Rock Major Subdivision prelim plat on Avoca Road. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon.
This is, I think, page 5 or so of the agenda.
There have been no amendments to this since we last saw it?
There have not.
Okay. I
Page
moved
3.
to approve last time, and I so move again today.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions for Mr. Best?
Can you just tell us a little bit about the subdivision that you're
Yes, it's on Avoca Road, just past the split of Avoca and Riley. It's on the left side of the road before the curve to the left. The developers bought the property from the Dugdale wish to split it up into 8 lots to build houses on 1,400 square foot or above houses.
And these are to be brick, did I read?
The developer chose not to add any additional restrictions, nor a homeowner association. The code does not require that of a subdivision. It is something that some people like to see and some people don't. So he decided in this case not to burden the lots any further with additional restrictions that were than what was already on there.
You good, Renee? Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's call ready for a vote. All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Best. All right, next up on the agenda is also from last month's unfinished business, South Jefferson Street. This is a surplus request, 825 South Jefferson Street. And
What page is that?
Page 12.
I'll tell you, 12 according to Larry.
Thank you.
I make a motion for an unfavorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All right, so for a time of discussion, so based on your motion, Robin, do you want to discuss why you would have an unfavorable recommendation?
I feel like this is property that could be used in the future by the city in some capacity, whether for park or something that we might not know for some time ahead.
I agree. I think it's, you know, obviously if it's surplus, I think that we have our opportunity to do something with it. Any other discussion? All right, so we're going to vote, and the vote is going to be to recommend that we provide an unfavorable recommendation to the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. So just so everybody understands what we're voting for, the motion is to put forward an unfavorable recommendation in a second. So all in favor of that, say aye, please. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Great. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we will push forward an unfavorable recommendation. All right, next up on today's agenda is new business. First up is a site plan for McDonald's restaurant on 1018 North Jackson Street. This is on page, what page is this on? Is this 18?
I don't know, surplus property came in.
20, page 20.
20.
Thank you. All right, so more activity on Jackson related to
Is it not signed?
fast food.
Mr. Chairman.
Hey,
Go ahead, let you know, basically what they're doing is tearing down the existing McDonald's building.
Right.
They're building a new one in this place. So it shouldn't have any adverse effect on the street.
right,
Traffic flow.
replace like for like.
I noticed this one has a lot of additional landscaping and things too, to improve the looks
They're
and
pushing the
things.
building closer to the street as well too, so it should look nicer.
Well, I would imagine that the code is different for this construction than it was when it was originally built.
Probably.
Yeah,
so.
they're getting rid of, they have a basement and they're getting rid of that.
You need to get a motion on the floor before we discuss this.
I do have a motion on this.
Move to approve.
Can we second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes. Okay, the regulations that they'll have to follow for creating the new building, are they grandfathered in or are they new
And
regulations?
they're going to follow the 2015 building codes.
Okay.
It would be viewed as new construction, right?
Yeah.
So,
We're also looking at, Public Works is also looking at it from a stormwater standpoint as well.
excellent. All right, any other discussion? Very good. All right, let's have a vote. All in favor of this item? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you. All right, next is our time of public hearing for the final plats. First up is Flint Rock Major.
Did we skip this surplus property request?
No, that was number 2 on unfinished.
No, we had one surplus property, which was the one, the Parks and Recreation one, but then I see a second one for surplus property, or is that something else?
That's the same thing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's two things.
All
Okay,
right, so the first one up on,
my fault.
that's quite all right. The first one up today on the final plats is item number B1, the Flint Rock Major Subdivision Final Plat. And this is on Buckle Road,
Page 28,
Page what?
27.
27, 28.
Mr. Best?
So this is the same property that we just talked about. For the
Yes, sir.
preliminary, we're coming in for the final so that the developer can post a bond and start building. I was told just now that they are planning on building brick there, brick and rock face.
Great.
But they did not want to put that in the...
Well, I think brick would be consistent with the
It would.
existing
It would look like
construction
all
that's
the
already in the
others.
area, so brick is awesome.
Okay, there's also a bond that has to be approved with this, so you make the motion to approve the final with the bond. It's $47,000. That's to construct the sidewalk and stormwater infrastructure for the subdivision.
Make the motion to approve that.
City.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion or any other questions for Mr. Best? Lee, anything else from staff?
Recommend approval.
All right. Let's take a vote on this one then. All in favor of approval, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Best. Item number 2 is the Carter Parkway Road minor subdivision. This is also a final plat. And let's see what this one is. This is page 34. Currently zoned as low density RS1, so the goal is to divide an existing lot into 2 lots.
So
Hi, good afternoon, sir. Can you state your name and address, please?
My name is Jared Sides, live in Winchester, Tennessee, work for Kurt Johnson.
Thank you, sir. All right, before we get into a time of discussion, let's get a motion on this one so we can get into some questions.
Mr. Chairman, he's the surveyor. He was just going to field any questions the board might have before y'all take a vote.
Take what?
He's here to field any questions about any board members before y'all take a vote.
Okay.
If one of them has a question.
We've got to have a motion
We'll get a
first.
motion on the floor.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get to.
For him, this is a public hearing.
Okay.
Oh, this is a public hearing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yeah, this is
Lee
part
said
of the
this is a
hearing.
public hearing,
Yes, it is.
so other people can question.
Correct. All right. Mr. Dodd, so the way the public hearing works is you have 2 minutes of time to speak, to present your information, and then we're gonna, you got a timer?
No, sir, he's the surveyor. He's just going to take any questions from the public.
Well, never mind that. You're just here to field questions.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So now that that's probably the 3rd time that's been said, I think I got it. Okay. So any questions for the surveyor?
So this is in the urban growth boundary. So is this actually in city limits or?
No.
No, okay.
It's outside the city limits of Tullahoma,
Okay.
but it's within the regional site plan.
Okay.
Sir, in the picture on page 39, when I look at that, I can clearly see 3 what look like trailers sitting on the part that's going to be subdivided, but then at the lower right, is that actually a structure, or what is that?
Okay, so none of this is still on the property. I have a more recent survey done here, if you'd like to look at it.
No, if it's no longer there, then you answer my question. Thank you.
Correct, that's on the back part.
Answered my question.
Any other questions?
The Development Committee gave a favorable recommendation and also sent it to the code administrator for the county, so it meets their zone regulations as well.
Okay.
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward.
So with all those approvals, I would move to approve.
Do we need to ask for public?
Wait a second, hold on.
Oh, question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to address this subdivision, if I may.
Sure.
Hold that motion.
My name is Deborah Clark, and I reside at 448 Parkway Road, Tullahoma, Tennessee, and this property actually is behind close to our house and our neighbors' houses. And we had questions on access to this house. But according to the original deed on this property was not supposed to be subdivided, and it was signed by Mr. Carter on 26 January 2015 that this property would only have one house with a 3,000 square foot home when he bought this property. We don't have a problem with him buying or building a house back there, but our question is access, because according to a minor subdivision code 2031, a minor subdivision has contained less than 5 lots on an existing street or public way, not involving any new or improvement streets, the extension of public facilities, or the creation of any public improvements. According to the plot, the plans that the surveyors brought up, we're wondering where this access is. It says on here that there is a 50-foot wide undeveloped public road, according to Tullahoma roads. This is not an annexed road, and according to the Coffee County Road Commissioner, Mr. Bennett, this is not a county road. So we're wondering where this 50-foot road access is going to be and how they're going to get there. Our question is how they can actually split this up, breaking the deed, and public access to that road. We do have aerials where they have it broken down, where he has 50-foot access. On the top of the map, the topography is ditches. There is utility poles on the property that he's going to sell. And if you look at the aerial that I can show you here, where it shows like there's a road there, this is public access to this point here, and then this just goes across the property. This is public access. This is his property here now. So there is no 50-foot access road off of Parkway at this point that we know of. That was explained to me by the county, the roads commissioner, and county codes, and looking at the Tullahoma City map, it is not annexed in with the Parkway Road. According to code, According to code 303.2, required access for non-residential lots. All non-residential lots shall have footage on an existing city-accepted and city-maintained public road. The Tullahoma Planning Director of City may permit any non-residential to obtain access by means of a private road or private easement. Again, where would this road be taken and where would it be built? And who's going to maintain access to this property? And who's going to prevent, if this is sublet, breaking up this deed, who's going to break the next person buying the smaller property, breaking up that and allowing smaller houses to be built back there? That is our concern, is some of these smaller houses that are popping up around Tullahoma, popping up behind our houses. So I ask the board to take this into consideration when subdividing this property.
Thank you. Do you want to address that concern?
Yeah, I'm
Great.
James Carter, and I'm the owner of that property. That deed restriction of the single...
Sir, can you state your name and address, please?
Oh, it's James Carter, and the address is 560 Parkway Road.
Thank you.
The deed restriction for the single residence, I had gone to all the previous owners of that property, from the Broadbents to the Church of Christ to Jeff Bowen, and I've had that restriction lifted, signed, and that has all been recorded at the county courthouse. So that restriction's been lifted. The property that's going to be sold is 2.02 acres in the front section of that we're subdividing off, and I'm going to restrict that to one house on the new deed of no smaller than 2,000 square feet. So that will be my plan. It'll be one home, 2,000 square feet or larger. The access to that property is the 50-foot back to where that piece will be subdivided off. That's that county right-of-way that comes in. It's 50-foot wide. And then on the new plat, we have included a right-of-way 50-foot wide all the way into the other piece of property. That's on the new plat, and it's included. So I've got a right-of-way all the way through from the Parkway Road into both pieces of property included on the plat.
So that 50-foot access is called out in the new plat?
Yes, it is.
You have that plat with you?
Mr. Sides does.
Can we take a look at that, please?
Has the new one been submitted to you?
Where's the field? I got you. And here would be his easement into this
Lee,
portion back here.
has this plat been submitted to you? The new one?
Okay, so this is the new track right here, right?
Yes.
This is Bill Broadbent Place.
Yeah.
That's the one you've got in your packet.
It's the one I got in the packet.
Thought it was, yeah.
Wait, no, it's not.
Looks like it's, they got it.
Okay. Thank you.
And he removed the restrictions, which is
So they met all the requirements.
Yes.
Any other questions?
So this would be a public, it would be a public road, it's not built yet.
It will not be a public
It will
road.
not be.
It'd be a driveway.
It'll be a 50-foot access, like a driveway.
Okay. I don't know, it's saying undeveloped public road, so not public.
It's a public right-of-way.
It's a public right-of-way.
It's not a developed road. The subdivision ordinance kind of contradicts itself. If you look at 3.3, 303.3, it talks about, lot frontage on the street or private easement for residential lots that shall conform to the minimum requirements as far as the frontage is concerned. So you got just one section of the subdivision regulations that says that you're supposed to be on an approved road, and then you got another one that contradicts it and says you can be on an easement. And that's some of the inconsistencies that's within our subdivision regulations. And later this week, I'm going to end up forwarding you guys a brand new subdivision regulation that will probably solve this particular issue.
Okay.
What was Coffee County's comments on it?
Kurt Ray said it was fine. It met their zoning regulations.
That was Kurt's comment?
Yeah.
So there's only going to be one house back here?
There's going to be two pieces of property split. One I'm going to build on the 3 whatever's left in the rear, and the piece in the front that's going to be 2.02 that I'll sell is going to be limited to one home.
How would you be sure that the second plot would have?
It'll be on my deed. When I supply deed to the buyer, the limitation of 2,000 square foot or larger will be on that deed, and the only way it can be changed is to come back to me. And I'm going to be building on the lot beside it, and I don't want a 1,200 square foot house, 3 of them in my, that close to me.
You can actually put a condition on your approval to allow, say 2 lots, 2 homes only. That'll be a basis of the condition of approving it.
I guess I'm just a little concerned because if your original deed had only one house and you're saying that that you've changed that deed to make a new deed, and this new deed won't be broken, I'm just kind of concerned how that might work. If you originally, when you bought this property, if you originally had a deed that there would only be one house on this single 3.75 acres, or single, I guess it would be about
5.7
yes,
acres
sir.
then.
On that deed, you said there would only be one house on that deed. But now you're creating a new deed
Because
where...
I'm splitting it into 2 pieces.
Right, what she's saying is what's going to stop somebody coming in after you and voiding that deed and making a deed that will allow more than one house to be put on that property?
What would stop that?
Yeah.
If we restrict it, I guess if it's restricted, can it be restricted through this meeting?
We can put a condition on it.
Put a condition on it.
We can do that.
If we put a condition on it, now he was able to get the restrictions lifted.
That's from a deed. That's a private agreement between 2 private parties.
Okay.
This is being as far as us approving it from a government body standpoint, we can put a condition on it, which is not, unless they bring it back to another planning commission or, Tullahoma Planning Commission and get it removed. There's no way to get it removed.
There is a way, but
You would have
it's
to go
more
through
difficult.
this commission again to get it removed.
Is there a way to have a condition on the size of the house? That would be on, no?
Can't do anything.
Not by law, there's not, because the way it's zoned.
Dave, I don't quite understand the jurisdictional responsibilities of the city and the county with respect to this. Would Would the county have to put that restriction on since it's in the county, or could the city do that?
We could do it, being that we're approving the plat, we could put the condition on it, we have the jurisdiction to do so. And it gets recorded at the register of deeds, so it's always there. Anybody needs to look it up. And this is probably the best way to do it, because, you know, they do a zoning permit or something. I don't believe unless they, you know, they amend their zoning ordinance saying only one house per one lot, and, you know, I mean, they'd have to meet the general zoning requirements, so they'd have to change their ordinance to try to make this situation fit. Whereas it being a subdivision, we can put it on conditions on the approval of the plat.
I would imagine that the original intentions why you would have to have a public access would be for safety, right, with the fire and...
No, it's just, you know, a lot of folks, they make these large lots, they make these panhandle lots or flag lots, and it's a whole purpose of getting around and putting in a road to open up the property in the rear.
Any other questions for Mr. Carter?
Can I address the board one more time?
Ma'am?
Can I address the board one more time? I'd just like to show a picture of the access that they're calling undeveloped road, if I may approach. Yeah.
Sure.
This is where my car is sitting, and I'm running this around. That's the road that they're saying is undeveloped. It's on the topography. You can see it right here. So this right here, all this in through this area here that they have 50-foot wide as road frontage for the property. This is all, there's utilities, there's poles, there's drainage ditch coming around. There is, it'd be hard to put a driveway through there. This right through here is the only easement that they have, and the edge of that drive. This is the access that they're saying that they're going to be using. Who maintains this?
Agree or not agree? This is the access road.
This is the access, and it's not a road according to the county. And who's going to maintain this? It is not maintained by the city. It is not maintained by the county because it's not a road.
It's his driveway. That's my driveway.
So, but it's not your property. This is not your property. This is the county property. This is the public
I've got
easement.
another 50 foot right beside it.
What you're saying is your driveway right here is public.
As it on the survey, it's a 50-foot driveway.
There's another 50 foot here.
There's
beside
another.
it. This that you see here is not this. This is the county.
Exactly. This
And
is a
there's
county.
another 50 foot here.
And this is a county, and this is where that road goes through in the county. You can see the line right there. It's right there. This is the county. So this is not a road. This is his 50-foot of road frontage here. Are you proposing to put in a new driveway through here? Are you proposing to use this in?
What I'm going to propose to do is go to the county and ask them if they could surrender that 50-foot easement to me.
Yeah, so we're going to...
collecting no taxes on it right now, and it has no access to anything except for one.
So you're looking to get more property there?
Well, I'm looking to open it up, that's all.
Time has been called.
Oh, that's fine.
If he's already got access to it, he's got access to it. He's going to pass that up there, he's going to keep it.
Sure, it would be approved, and it'd be approved.
Or postpone the vote on this one. Need to do a little bit more research and call the county road superintendent and get some of this information straightened out.
I propose we table.
Okay.
Second.
We got a motion to table in a second. Any
Not
discussion?
table, postpone.
Postpone?
Okay.
Postpone it until next month?
Who was the second?
Till we can get it
Larry.
cleared up. Robin made the...
Any discussion on that?
Who was the second on that vote?
Larry. Postpone it until when? Until when?
Postpone, next month.
Period, until next month?
Yeah, this postponed until the next.
All right, all in favor of postponing it, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll postpone that one.
Until the June meeting.
All right, next up is final plat for Carroll.
This is a,
Page 40. Item number 3, this is the Carroll Minor Subdivision final plat on West Side Drive. This is currently R1 low-density residential, dividing existing lot into 2 other lots.
I have several questions on this. Is there someone to represent this?
Mr. Orr's here. I'd like to ask him a question.
Please state your name and address, sir.
I'm Joe Orr. I'm at 211 Lakewood Drive, Tullahoma, Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Orr.
Hi, my question, Mr. Orr, is, so there is a block office building on here. So this is a commercial building?
Correct.
But it's on a residential lot?
That's my understanding.
Okay, and so but the proposal would continue to be commercial use? I'm very confused as to what this property is and what...
A lot of non-conforming situations with the lot and the existing structures. After reviewing the site plan, I don't believe it's going to, it's already a lot of non-conforming structures, but the subdivision wouldn't create any additional non-conformities, and it wouldn't create any greater non-conformities either as far as the non-conforming issues. I mean, the setbacks are a lot of the issues around the perimeter, which really has nothing to do with splitting the property in half. That is a non-conforming use and a non-conforming building on the lot. It sits too close to the south lot line, and it is R1 zoning district.
So what is the purpose of the subdivision?
Originally, that was 2 lots, but the lot line pretty well created a real problem. It ran too close. I think maybe we created an encroachment. So we just split the property. We ran the line down the middle, we split the driveway. It was very awkwardly done before, and we corrected the problem. There was a garage that was in the middle of the property that was falling down. We have it, it's been removed. So we've improved it considerably. One of the properties has 2 houses on it that we will be selling off. The owner will be retaining the commercial property there on the side. And we're cleaning it all up, and we're making that end of town look a whole lot better.
Lee, the areas on the either north and south sides or whatever it is that are non-conforming, they were already approved by this commission somewhere in the past, right? Had to be.
I don't know. I mean,
we may not.
When was that annexed into the city?
Way before my time.
So, I mean, I don't know if it was something that was done out in the county, that it was annexed into the city. It might have been the city approved it at one time, but the lot lines changed. There was different rules and regulations at the time when these buildings were built.
Okay.
There's several commercial properties on each side of that property.
Yeah.
There's a county office and a store. They're close by.
If we approve this way and somebody, for example, wants to take down the commercial building or whatever and put a new one up, they're going to have to go by our latest regulations, right?
Yeah.
Just like with the McDonald's? Yeah, okay. I just don't want it to where somebody else could come in, tear this down, and put another building right back in the same spot, same size and everything, and be non-conforming.
Well, the state gives a lot of latitude for commercial, industrial, non-conforming situations, so it would have to follow the state's requirements. So, but he would follow the current, the regulations that are in effect at the time.
Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Orr?
So this subdivision would allow those two houses to have their own lots, or not? Or there's two houses on one lot?
Yes.
Correct,
Two houses on one lot?
correct.
But you had a commercial building and two houses on one lot at one time, and we were separating the commercial building from the two houses.
Okay. Why don't we just go ahead, why is there not the two houses why do they not have their own lot? Is that not?
Did you choose not to subdivide for the
required.
housing right now?
Yeah.
Would be practical.
Wouldn't be practical, okay.
I just don't know how it couldn't have, if it's R1, like if it's low density residential, how could you have two homes on the same lot?
It's already that way.
Okay.
I mean, it's not creating the situation.
All
The
right.
situation's already the way it is.
Okay.
He's actually making it a little less non-conforming, let's say, by
Okay.
separating the commercial building from the two houses.
Okay.
I mean, I would have preferred to do 3 lots, but that's not what that would have been requesting, so.
But this gets us a step in the right direction. Really separating the commercial business entity from the
residential.
From the residence.
Anything else?
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Orr.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the Neal final plat on page 46. This is the Neal / Sears and Roebuck minor subdivision final plat on Sears Roebuck Road.
We're dividing one tract out of a parent tract. The parent tract is 56 acres, and the proposed lot they're going to cut out of that is 1.64 acres. It's in the county's, it's in their urban growth boundary. Staff recommends it to be approved. There's already a house and an accessory structure on the lot, the new lot that's going to be cut out.
One question, how is there access to the rest of the property if we take this lot?
And they've got a huge swath of land that's still connected to the road above it.
Oh, okay.
That property to the north is still it, the property to the south is still that same lot, same parent tract that surrounds it.
Oh, so this big section down here on the...
All around it is the parent tract, and the small tract is all you're seeing is being cut out right there.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All right, next is the other surplus property on today's agenda. This is the first one on C1, Parker Road, right-of-way. This is on page 52 of the agenda.
And I had a request for surplus from Mr. Christopher, son of Max Christopher, I can't call his name.
Grant.
I'll put the letter in there with it, but Grant Christopher to surplus that right-of-way.
Yeah.
It's developed, like on the North Jackson end of it and the Flower Town, but the middle of it's either it's been just worn away or it never was built in there. It's kind of hard to tell now with the growth. And what I did is I sent a letter to all the adjoining property owners notifying them that there was a request for this. So They were notified by mail. Each agency that is required to sign off on surplus had no issue with this one except for the fire department. They were thinking maybe in the future this would be a way to create a road that would cut in from North Jackson to Flower Town for any type of emergency situations, but I don't know. You know, it's not on the capital improvements program, so, you know, I don't know how that would ever be funded. I mean, if it was currently on it or if it was planning to be on it, then of course I would agree with them, but that's not the case.
Lee, if we did this and we surplus this, are one of these adjoining properties going to be the one that gets it, or what's the deal there?
It'll go to the Mr. Christopher's property. His property is the one that's on both sides of it on North Jackson Street. He owns property north of the large property north of it. It's kind of a triangle, kind of makes a flag. And then the property just right next to it, where the right of way is, you'll see to the south, he owns that one too.
And the request makes sense.
It's not going to landlock any of the other landowners.
And the other property owners either
they've got access to
responded favorably or didn't respond?
I had some that inquired, but
nothing negative.
Is anybody here? We need to ask them if anybody's here.
Is there anybody in the public that wants to speak to this?
Max Christopher here, so if you have any questions.
Yeah, if only it were that easy. Name and address, please.
Max Christopher, 110 Lake Hills Road, Tullahoma.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher.
We've made this request. When we bought that property, it was already, the road came in at an angle at a funny, and it came in at the street at a real funny angle, and so when we widened the road, we had it redeeded so it come out as a square there, so you weren't coming out. But since I've owned it, I don't know, 15, 20 years, I guess, it's never been a road there. You know, it's just been a place for people to dump their mattresses and stuff like that. So, well, if we could get it closed up, that would make this track of mine one bigger piece, and we could, possibly develop it into something more commercial.
Motion to approve.
You move to approve? Second.
All in favor, say aye, please. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Christopher. All right, I think we have one more surplus property. It's North Anderson Street. This is the right-of-way surplus on page 57.
A request from applicant to get 20 feet, about 200 feet of the right-of-way for North Anderson. It's at 100 feet right there, the right-of-way is from, and the thoroughfare plan only calls for a 60-foot right-of-way for arterial roads there. So what we're doing, what we agreed to do, when me and the city administrator met with them, is, you can give you 20 feet, that's all we can give you, because in case somebody across the street wants right away over there, as far as being surplus, it would line up. But he's doing it to increase the size of his two properties there. They're narrow, and he'd like to get more use out of them.
And according to your recommendations, it looks like all the departments are in concurrence with you?
Yes.
I move to approve.
Well, we're going to approve it with the condition.
Well, yeah, it needs to have that condition mentioned in there.
What's the condition?
We need to add the condition.
Move to approve with the
And
condition.
record the plat.
So the condition would be that the buyer pays for the survey of the property and records the plat.
Record the plat.
Thank you. Have a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Moving right along. That's all the surplus property. So there's a zoning text amendments, section D, first one is ZTA 212, new provisions for auto service fuel dispensing. Section 506.
I have a request from Planning Commissioner to look into this, propose some additional design guidelines for gas stations, convenience stores with gas pumps. Here's the draft that I submitted. Once we look at it, if it needs any type of revisions, this is the time to do it before we give it any type of recommendation to send it up to the board, mayor, and all of that.
Giving you all some papers that were submitted to me. If you look at them, you've got 4 pages, and the first 2 were recommended by some constituents on
Which section at the top? It says section 605. That's not the correct section.
What are you looking at?
3rd page.
605. Yeah, it's supposed to be 506.
Should be 506, right?
Okay. Well, that was a typo in the original. 506. I think Lee and I sat down and, are we in a discussion by the way, just making sure I'm in the right?
Well, I guess we need to
All right, get a motion.
Public hearing first, because as far as a public hearing, if anybody wants their
Public hearing.
I'd like to open this up for a public hearing.
So is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, have a second.
No.
If it is a public hearing, does it need a motion?
Yeah, no, it's already a public hearing, right?
All right.
All right, good. Go ahead,
Whatever
ma'am.
you want to
Thank
play
you. I had talked to Lee about this, presented this with him several weeks ago, and he kindly put together what you guys have right here. Some of the main concerns that I had was that FHA loans are not available to individuals if their home is within 300 feet of an automotive fueling facility. So I asked, and it was, what was it? It was originally,
I might want to take it.
okay. Do we need to take a session or a recess? Recess?
Yeah, we'll take a quick recess.
I'm sorry, I have to leave. My mother's in the hospital. I apologize.
Never call me needed. Take care of your mom. Still up.
You settle with one?
Yes, let's keep moving.
Great. All right, so let's get back into session.
Yes, sir. This had originally not been included, this 300 feet, but to any residential district, and I would like to add with residential district, the wording residential parcel and/or property line, residential property line. And what that would allow would be anybody who is to receive an FHA loan, which is a mortgage loan, would still qualify. Because as it stands, there are some people in our city that could not qualify.
So how are you're changing Say that again, I didn't catch all that.
If you look at Part 2, an automotive service motor fuel dispensing facility shall not be constructed closer than 300 feet to any residential district. I would like to add right behind that, so 300 feet to any residential district, residential parcel, and/or residential property line. And with a similar add-on with part number 5.
How are you defining, is it residential use or residential zone? I mean, there could be, because I mean, we could have a nonconformity where there's a house on a commercial lot and somebody's building.
It already calls out property line, right, in the existing? So I'm not sure what we're gaining.
Well, it doesn't say residential line.
It says property line.
That's the same thing, isn't it?
It is.
Of any residence. So
Now you're looking at it, this right here is not what's on our minutes.
Right.
That's why I'm asking this was something that was submitted by a constituent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this wording better reflects what needs to be in our own zoning.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing a difference
I haven't
between...
understood the change.
It's the same. Currently it says property line. So I'm not seeing where the advantage is.
It doesn't say our property line. I'm missing it.
The last sentence of number 2.
Well, I understand what she's saying is this is a revised document. That's what she's proposing to revise it to.
What's this?
Now, I don't know.
That's not, this is something that a constituent brought forward.
Page
This is not part of our
64
agenda. Yeah, I'm on page 64.
Okay.
So 64 says that facility shall not be constructed closer than 300 feet to a residential district. Residential district, I would think would be easily conferred to be residential property.
But I think the devil's in the details, so I think it's worth our time to go ahead and put parcel and/or residential property line. And if you look at this, and I want to give you guys time to look at it, but if you look at this, there are several things that these constituents are concerned with concerning water and exterior lighting. And I honestly feel like these are things that need to be considered. However, I think these are also things that we may want to look at as far as a larger, as far as light pollution, things like that. This might be something that we need to look at with all commercial properties rather than just gas stations. And so I think for now, restricting the residential.
I think that if we're going to put forward these recommendations, I would like to get some input also for some business owners. So my recommendation would be to table it or postpone it until we can get additional input on the...
My recommendation is that this is already a public hearing and that there are business owners who were welcome to attend tonight. And
It would be a lot easier to follow if we just had one document that showed it up in a track changes format kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
it would be easier to understand.
I'm going to get a little confused with all this. Two different things going on here.
And I'd like to see something of bullet points of what things are you putting in that create an increased burden on commercial development by
Making the changes?
Making these changes, yeah, because I don't see where we should be penalizing commercial development of a gas station versus a hamburger stand or a chicken joint or whatever.
Right.
I don't see that. We need to be consistent with whatever we're doing.
And I agree, I think so, but I think with some of the different studies that have been done on the environmental impact of gas stations and oil changing location, things like that, this is something that is different from a chicken place.
But I think Larry's point is correct. We're going to impose restrictions on C2 development that don't exist today.
Correct, but it doesn't mean that it's not appropriate.
Well, appropriate or not, I'd like to get some input from someone else before we begin to restrict development.
Is it better to postpone or to table?
Same thing.
Is it the same? I mean, if we table it, can it come back?
Well, when you...
Yeah, we'll postpone it.
Table it, somebody has to make a motion to bring it back off the table, so it's a little bit more complicated than just postponing it until the next meeting.
Okay, then
So it's a little simpler.
Then I would move to postpone until we can get some more input.
Well, I think that's good, but let's define what we want to do. And I think, first of all, I'm a little bit confused as to, you generated this document that's in our handout, correct?
In the packet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you generated that as opposed to what's in there right now?
Yes.
Okay, and see, that history is what I'm having trouble with. If we could have a document that would show us what it is now,
Tracks and
what
changes.
he's proposing to do to it, and what she's proposing to do to it, and so we could see all that together.
I agree.
I agree.
It would make it a lot easier to follow and understand.
Okay.
And then if we want to invite some people to come in and give us some opinion on it, we need to define who those people are so that Lee can have them here next time.
Right, give them an opportunity to give them a heads up.
Yeah.
I agree.
And Lee,
I just think it's unfair to systematically or arbitrarily restrict development.
I would like to also ask Lee that you talk to our city attorney and make sure that we're not doing something that's not kosher by imposing additional restriction on a specific genre, if you will, because I'm a musician, a genre of commercial development versus the others.
We do it, you do it through a public hearing, and the development standards are outlined in a clear, concise way. We've done that in the past. The former zoning ordinance before this present one we had actually did that. They had several different uses like service stations and other types of land use like junkyards and landfills that had special or supplemental requirements beyond just what the district requirements were. But, I mean, I understand what you're saying is, we don't want to step outside our boundaries.
Right. That's my concern. I don't want to step on something and then we turn out we've done it wrong, so.
All right, so we're going to postpone it so we can get those documents in order.
Did we vote on postponing it?
That's what's on the...
I mean, Scott seconded. But I don't think we...
Yeah, so that's what's on the table now for vote.
Okay.
Just clarifying what we're going to vote on. So all in favor of that, say aye, please.
Aye.
No.
And any opposed?
No.
All right. So we'll be postponing that until next month. All right. Next up on today's agenda is also a change to text amendment, ZTA 213. This one is the trees and 65, trees and landscaping. Staff's proposing an amendment to 505.4.3. This is the landscaping table L1. The purpose of the amendment is to increase requirement of 1 tree per 100 linear feet in a buffer zone to 2 trees per 100 linear feet. So it's usually taking the requirement from 1 tree to 2.
The amendment was a recommendation from the tree board.
You did get a recommendation from the tree board?
Yeah,
This was their recommendation.
Oh, great.
And I think with what Tullahoma is trying to do as far as beautifying the city, I think this is going to be going in the right direction.
That's a good idea.
Page 66 shows the current language of section 505 and the proposed.
Awesome.
And then there's a draft table that shows the change in it as well too.
Very good. Any questions on that? I do have a motion on this one.
Move to approve as submitted.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. So, all right, next.
Who did the second on that one? Me? Okay, thank you.
Next order of business, this is also for new business, is to schedule our quarterly study session. So we've already got one set up for the next quarter, which will be Monday, June 4th. Will be it's the first Monday in June. And we'll meet here in the boardroom.
I guess we have a discussion, but when, we have these quarterly, what days would be best to schedule these? I mean, would it be the first?
I think Mondays would be best, maybe the Monday prior to the scheduled meeting of first month of each quarter.
Because we'd have, what, 3 meetings a month, a quarter, well, four.
Four.
So, I mean, if we could have them on the, I guess I'm trying to get down what month, because, I mean, the first Monday is always free of the month, most months.
Yeah. So if we let's go ahead and do this one for June. So we'll do another one in September.
We'll do it in September, okay?
Yeah.
Then the last one in November?
Right. October. Or, yeah,
November, December, whichever ones.
Well, at the end of the year, we've got the required training. So that'll take up that block.
Yeah, okay.
So let's do June and September for now. And then at the end of the year, we'll look to do the required training.
Is that going to interfere with that special call meeting on the 4th?
Well, it's going to be concurrent. They're going to have the special call meeting. And once we get done with that business, we'll just enter into a study session.
Yeah, it'll be a training. Or it'll be a...
No, we got a special call meeting.
A study session.
We had a request by a developer for Collinwood Court for their final. They've already got the preliminary done, but they wanted a special call meeting on the 4th to have their final plat approved. They said they'll have all their infrastructure in place at the time, so there won't be any really need for a bond or anything at that time either.
Everybody got that?
Okay.
So the first one will be in June 4th. And I believe that's the last item on this agenda. Anything else, Lee? Any other new business from the staff?
At 4 o'clock? At 4 o'clock?
After the...
Yeah, 4 o'clock, same.
Okay.
Well, our regular meeting will be
June 18th.
the 18th.
18th of June. Middle of summer. All right, so we will adjourn this meeting and then move now into the Board of Zoning and Appeals. And let's see. So we got the...
I don't have anything.
I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have
It's the second page.
It's the second page.
I think mine, I don't think of course I got mine on Friday. I don't know when I got the
second page.
Oh, I'm sorry. Page 2. Just kidding.
We'll just have to, the minutes we didn't get them done, we'll present those in the special call meeting, or not the special call meeting, the June meeting for the Board of Zoning Appeal minutes.
Yeah. All right, so do we have any new business this month?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Awesome. Anything from the commissioners? Very good. So we'll adjourn the June Board of Zoning and Appeals meeting. And we'll see everybody on June 4th for our study session.
special meeting.
Special call.
Yes, special call study session. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a great Monday.
I'm totally confused. I mean, I'm reading this, and this is like
That's what.
4-line sentences, and then there's like